owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles and possibly other interested parties who may just be curious about this particular subject, because this doesn't specifically tie to Magic the Gathering. However, my experience is mostly as a Magic the Gathering YouTuber. I do have a second channel, but it's mostly Magic the Gathering. And what I've observed in other creators a lot of the time, and a lot of what I'm going to draw on, is related to my experience in this particular sphere of Magic the Gathering. Because I've been taking a look at it in a number of different things, and it's just been what's chewing over in my mind. And I figured, you know what? Let's have a sort of, in my style, my rambly style, let us have a conversation about why YouTubers give up, quit, get burnt out. What are the factors that cause this to stop being a thing for a lot of people? Because you'll notice a lot of channels do just kind of quietly disappear. There's very rarely a big flare out when it comes to a channel where you go, okay, I can see why they left. Like the Twitterites and all these other mobs descended on them. That kind of stuff is so rare. And most of the people who are targets for that kind of stuff are big enough that they're never going anywhere. There's a certain size where your channel gets to where it seems like you become less likely to wander off. It's not guaranteed, but it's less likely. Now, if you're wondering about the thumbnail or anything like that, this isn't a long, rambly video to say, I'm quitting. I'm having a great time doing what I'm doing. But even as someone who has a great time doing what I'm doing, there's a lot of hassles that come along with being a YouTuber. So I was actually listening to an MTG Lion video today where he was talking about how he's enjoying what he's doing. And I remember there was a point where he wasn't, and he almost got out of the whole like YouTube game. And yet here he is now, and he has another channel that's kind of spurred onwards. And I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about all the people who've just kind of disappeared. I mean, there are smaller channels that have disappeared, and not that many people are talking about it, because if you have a channel where you only have 200 subscribers, not as many people are going to be aware when you're gone, right? That's just the nature of the beast. I notice these ones, at least the ones that I knew about, because it's like, hey, what happened to this person? Hey, what happened to this person? And I would go and look at their channel and be like, they haven't posted anything in a year. And then I'd go and look for a Twitter. I mean, you end up trying to uncover these different clues, but in a lot of cases with these like YouTube, it's like an internet autopsy. You know what I mean? You can't get the information. We've had a number of even larger channels disappear recently. Like one of the biggest Magic channels is essentially AWOL. The Mana Source hasn't posted, I believe, in like 7 months. MTG Unsealed, his channel just disappeared into the aether, just poof. It was just gone. Like he had 20,000 subscribers, and then overnight his channel just disappeared. And I haven't heard anything about it. There was a bunch of people who were trying to sort out what happened. Nothing. Haven't heard a thing. Still don't know what happened to him. On the same level, we have a channel that I considered like almost like a brother style channel to mine. Obviously the kind of brother that you don't talk to that often, because I didn't go by his channel that frequently, but we started at the same time. Me and Void Mage Gamer started at roughly the same time and had roughly the same growth on our channel in terms of subscribers and all of that. And he eventually changed his name to like Commander Void. He had a big Commander channel. So he got up to almost about 20,000 subscribers. And about a month ago, he just said, well, guys, it's been a good ride, but I'm getting on out of here. And this applies to bigger channels as well. So I just wanted to kind of dive in to some of the reasons that I believe this sort of thing happens. I actually sent a request to MTG Lion for an interview. I'd like to live stream interview him or do a pre-recorded interview as somebody who was on the cusp of taking the dive off of YouTube and instead has come back and is having an enjoyable time. Because I think that is some valuable insight, right? I mean, I know what it's like to get up and not want to make a video on particular days. And sometimes I'll just take a day off. But it's like YouTube is a very voluntary sort of thing. You don't get up and go, okay, I've got to go to work every day, this sort of thing. Like that's a different parameter. When you have to get up and you have to go to work, you have to do that. You have to keep your bills paid. You have to do all of that stuff. But when it comes to YouTube, the majority of YouTubers aren't required to do this as a job. They haven't chosen it as their profession, right? They are making some money on the side, and some are trying to live the dream. Let's be very, very honest about this. There is a live the dream concept on YouTube, where it's like, imagine the life where people from the outside view YouTube as very little work. I mean, you can point to this video as an example. They'd be like, look at this guy. He's just standing there going blah, 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 blah. Anybody can do that. So there's this mentality from the outside that YouTubing is very easy. And on top of that, that once you do it, like you just get a bunch of, it's like, it's money for nothing. How's that song go? Money for nothing and the chicks for free? I think it's an old song. Either way, there's this like mentality where, wow, when I become a YouTuber, it's going to be like super exciting and I'm going to get all this money and gifts and subscribers and people are going to love me. And they build up this big fantasy. And it's akin to a lottery fantasy. You know those people who are sure that if they just keep going and buying lottery tickets, they're going to succeed, like they're going to succeed in winning the lottery. They'll get that money and they'll be like, yeah, life's all good for me now and I'm set. It's a similar kind of fantasy with YouTube. If you really break down the numbers, there's this website called Social Blade, right? And it will break down roughly the performance of your channel. And you can use it to find out interesting metrics, like roughly the overall number of YouTube channels that exist, which if you're curious, right now, there are 35 million YouTube channels. And that's the last time I checked. I'm sure the number has grown by a bit. But anyways, there are 35 million YouTube channels. 35 million. And yes, there are some creators who have multiple channels like I do. But overall, that's like millions and millions and millions of different people trying to create a channel, trying to all vie for the same attention. There's only each person who exists only has 24 hours in the day that they can spend doing things. Knock sleep out of that 8 hours, all of a sudden, what do you have? Everybody has 16 hours in a day. Take away their work, okay, now they've got 8 hours in a day. Take away the other chores and things they need to do. How many hours in a day does somebody have to watch YouTube? And you have all these people competing for those eyeballs, competing for that time. And the competition is very, very, very tough. So most people are below, like they basically haven't surfaced enough to have a real presence. And that can be very disheartening. Like if you want an example, you see the size of my channel right now. I have about 23,500 subscribers, okay? Which by YouTube standards is a small channel. By Magic Channel standards, I'm somewhere in the middle. I consider this to be like a mid-sized channel when it comes to Magic, but I also consider Magic to be a tiny niche of YouTube. So we have a channel that's my size, 23,500 subscribers roughly. Now I get basically anywhere from like 4 to 10,000 views in a day, okay? So bear that in mind. I have 23,000 subscribers and anywhere from 4 to 10,000 views a day, sometimes a bit lower, sometimes a bit more, but that's the rough range. Now, if you go and look at all the big YouTube channels, you'll see those numbers and go, that's nothing. Your numbers are nothing, right? Like I'm a very, very tiny fish, barely existent as a fish, but I am roughly numerically in the top 1% of YouTube statistically. By the Social Blade stats that give you your ranking, I'm ranked in the top like 380,000 channels out of 35 million. That means that I'm in the top like 1.2, 1.3%, somewhere in that range. You can say top 2% if you want, but think about that for a second. Like most channels will never even get to the level that I'm at. And once you get to the level that I'm at, in most cases, most channels can't actually pay all of your bills. Now, I am an exception in that case. I am actually a full-time entertainer with this. I'm able to do this for a living. But that also requires a ton of live streaming, a ton of like fan support, all this sort of stuff comes together. You can't support yourself solely on YouTube. Like if I had to just operate off of the YouTube videos, it would be insufficient. So you've got this crazy high threshold for the level of what people actually consider success. And this is me just living in my like tiny apartment, being able to pay our bills. Not like, look at me, I'm PewDiePie living in a mansion, right? Like, so people get this, they get this dream in their mind, and you can see it when they start out. And for smaller channels, I think it's a lack of interaction to begin with, but also I think a lot of it is money. I think it's people thinking, I'm going to make a bunch of money. If you go to a live stream of an established channel, you'll see them getting super chats. You'll see them like opening gifts they got in the mail or whatever. And you'll go, oh, wow, you know what? This is great. I can't wait for me to have this experience. And they go and set up a channel and they set up a Patreon right away. Like, I've got my Patreon set up. Now for me, I mean, my experience was very different. So I didn't really have a Patreon for the first number of like months that I did this. In fact, when people sent me money, originally, I contacted each of them individually and asked if they wanted the money back, because for me, entertaining people is a passion. So we have a scenario where people will set up their Patreons and they'll make like 10, 15 videos, something like that, and they'll still have a big fat zero on their Patreon. And I've actually heard YouTubers say like, I've made this many videos, I feel like I've earned it and deserve it. There's this sort of mentality where the amount of work I put in is equal to the reward I'm going to get out of it. And it doesn't work that way at all. Like, it's not even, you don't understand. It doesn't work that way at all. You can work as hard as you want and keep cranking and keep cranking and keep cranking and get absolutely nowhere and make no money. YouTube has changed the monetization rules a number of different times, where originally they changed it to you had to have 10,000 views. And then they changed it to a much higher high. This bar is really high. You need 1,000 subscribers and you need 4,000 hours of watch time to even get considered for monetization on your channel. Now, take it from me, 4,000 hours of watch time is a mind-boggling amount of time. It may not sound that much to you, but when you actually see how much people view videos, a lot of people only watch videos for a couple minutes. Like, I guarantee you there's a bunch of people who have already left this video going, this guy's just jawing on with nothing to say. But then what happens is, you're trying to aggregate up this crazy amount of hours and subscribers, but you have the huge hurdle to get over that YouTube is way less likely to recommend your stuff for a number of reasons. You're not going to get recommended because you don't have any view history. The views that you may get are few and far between. And on top of that, YouTube makes no money. Every new YouTuber is costing YouTube money without making them any money. And YouTube, like, once you deal with the monetization system, you will realize that any video that gets the yellow symbol that's been demonetized, that video is shown anywhere up to like 80% less than your regular videos. It just crushes the reach. And why is that? It's not advertiser friendly. It's not making YouTube any money. Why would they shop that video around to people and say, check that video, when they can shop around a video that does generate advertising revenue, right? So you've got that hurdle in that you're going to have a really difficult time having your content surfaced. And that can be extremely disheartening, where you realize not very many people are watching my stuff. Nobody is really supporting me on Patreon. My journey to get monetized is like this gigantic unclimbable mountain. It's like a mountain made out of spiky like skunk hedgehogs that are just gonna jab you with their quills and make you all smelly. Like, that's the level of difficulty it appears to be. It is no joke. I have a second channel that is trying to hit those metrics, and it hasn't. And that's even with having this channel where I can point people to it and go, yo, check out that channel. Now, admittedly, my videos are short over there, but I do understand the struggle. So in terms of smaller channels, just saying, you know what, like, I thought this was going to be a big money maker for me, but it turns out that this is actually like, I'm putting so much time into it and my heart into it and not getting anything from it. I can understand why they give up. They feel like they failed. I'm very lucky in that I was never actually trying to have this, which sounds really weird, but it's true. I created this YouTube channel for the local game store that I went to, just to let people know, like, yo, a rotation is hit, so don't bring these cards for your deck because you won't get to play in the event and I'll have to kick you out, because I was the guy who judged the events. So it was really just informational for like the 20 or 30 people from the store who watched the channel. And that's all it was. My videos would get like 10, 11 views and I'd be like, all right, cool. I informed like 10 people. Sweet. That's like a third of the people who need to know. That's awesome. And so they were just little videos like that. And then I happened to do a product review of a particular product, the Nicol Bolas Arch Enemy product. And that was just, I just did that because we needed something to do. My lady said, hey, you know what? Why don't we just make a video a week? Because we're sitting around unhappy. It gives us something to spend some time on. It's something creative to do. And I said, sure, let's do it. And so I just made a video talking about a product because I knew that when I went to the store, a bunch of people were going to ask me about it. And I didn't feel like talking to them because life was hard at that point. I was like, I don't want to have this conversation over and over. So I just made that video, and somehow the algorithm found it. I think what happened was I was the first one to make like anything on it. So anybody searching information about it would find that. And all of a sudden, like, the views were just piling in, thousands and thousands of views, right? And I had picked up like 100 subscribers or more in this tiny little time frame. So when I came back, like, my channel had a bunch of activity on it, and there was a bunch of people, and admittedly, I almost shut the channel down because I looked at it and went, I don't know, man, people on the internet can be real jerks, and I don't feel like dealing with all of this, any of this. But out of curiosity, I'm like, I'm going to go and read the comments. And I did. And the comments were like overwhelmingly positive. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I misjudged the online population. I just got lucky. Honestly, I just got lucky in that regard because there are a lot of people who are jerks in YouTube comment sections as well. But there was such a small incidence of that I looked at it and said, you know what? People seem to be enjoying this. I guess we can just expand our audience out past the game store. And so I already got past one of the biggest hurdles in terms of like, the channel was already there and people were already seeing it. So it's just like, okay. And I just kind of rode that along. So in terms of like getting yourself up off the ground out of zero, I already had the advantage of having a little game store. Like, I didn't own the game store, but I was tied into it and could take advantage of that. So that helped me. And then from there, I just made ridiculous videos, and I'm going to be real. I'm well suited to this kind of thing. I absolutely love entertaining people. I love attention. I've got enough ego that I put my big dumb face in the thumbnails, even though people leave comments going, "You're ugly, don't use your face." And it's like, nah, son. There's my big dumb face right there in the thumbnail. So I have all of that to kind of push me forwards as well. Anybody who's just motivated by money, YouTube's not going to do it for you. That's one of the biggest reasons for flare outs. I think people think it's easy money and they get dreams in their heads of what they're going to get out of it. I mean, when I started to actually get my channel monetized, I turned to my lady and said, this would be amazing if I could make like $100 a month doing this. Like, imagine making $100 a month just entertaining people. How cool would that be? So like, what I wanted out of it was so small. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'll be able to pay all my bills and live my life. Like, what I'm doing right now is so much more of a dream than I ever had that I couldn't have at no point did I have my expectations crushed because I didn't have unrealistic expectations. So I think unrealistic expectations and not understanding the numerical chance of failure on YouTube is what makes a lot of people quit, where they just, like, you only see successes on YouTube unless you go out of your way to really dig down deep and look for channels with like tiny amounts of viewers. Like, you got to do a filtered search. You're always seeing successful channels because that's all YouTube recommends. If videos are being surfaced to you, that means the channel's done something proper. They are succeeding. So all you ever see on YouTube is success. That's it. So of course you see everybody succeeding and you think, I'm going to succeed. But you're just seeing that tiny little tip of the iceberg that's sticking up there, right? When the rest of it is under the water. Everybody else is underwater and so many people give up. And this financial aspect reaches further than just like the tiniest little startups too. For example, when I talked about Void Mage there, he stopped because he finally got himself a proper nice job that's paying for all of his bills, and he couldn't justify the time that he was putting into it for the return. And I understand that you can make a video that can get thousands of views and make $7 off it. Imagine spending the time it takes to research a subject and then set up the gear, get the gear you need, set up the gear you need, spend the time recording it, then spend the time editing it, then spend the time uploading it, putting the title on it, tagging it, filling in all the things you have to put in about the video, categorizing it, and then sitting there while it processes, crafting your thumbnail. There are so many things that go into it. Imagine spending hours and hours and hours and hours of your time for $8. Would you spend 5-6 hours of your time for $8? And the answer is no, unless there's something else in it for you. Like, I have the drive of my passion. If this channel somehow got destroyed, I would pick up and build a new channel because I love entertaining people. That's wired into me. And that's what protects me from any of the setbacks, because at the end of the day, I can still see how many people are enjoying my stuff. Didn't make any money today because the video got hit with the yellow symbol. Oh well, people are enjoying what I'm doing. But a lot of small channels, they don't have that. Like it just doesn't work for them, right? They don't have the numbers to hit there. They don't have the time invested in terms of like seeing the enjoyment from people. So all that crumbles and falls apart. But these bigger channels, 20,000, you can have a 20,000 subscriber channel and still be like, this isn't worth my time or money. You'll see the big subscriber counts and realize, or well, I mean, big from a perspective, because I think 20,000 is pretty big from the perspective of somebody who has, if you've got 10 subscribers, 20,000 probably feels the same way to me that like 500,000 does. You know what I mean? Because of orders of magnitude. So it's this, like you constantly see success. There's this carrot dangled in front of you where like you can make money doing this. And so people get obsessed with the money. I think that money is one of the biggest reasons people quit, but there are other things that will wear on you too. You can just become creatively burnt out. YouTube wants you to keep running in this hamster wheel and cranking out content constantly, depending on like what it is. If you're somebody who makes content once a month, you'd think, okay, well, they don't have that problem. They don't. But they have a different problem. Somebody who makes a video once every month that is a banger video, your people like Ristic Studies or whatever, who can make videos that get 150,000 views. I have no videos on my channel that have even cracked 100,000 views. But anyways, they can make these banger videos where they pour a lot of time and passion into them. You know what I mean? Ristic Studies makes magnifique content. His content is so good. Like really, if you haven't checked it out, you're missing out. It's way better than a dude rambling in front of a green screen. But anyways, he makes these amazing videos that take a lot of time and effort, you know, scripting, everything that goes into it. These videos take an absurd amount of time to craft, but he's left with a different problem. And other creators, now I can't speak for him specifically as if he said this, but this is something I've seen expressed by other creators that create big, like grandiose pieces, but very infrequently. And that is the feeling that they won't be able to live up to their previous works. What they're creating isn't going to be good enough. I know what it's like to scrap a video because it's not good enough. I've done it a number of times, but my bar is way lower because I'm running more of like a chill hangout channel where I run a couple of live streams a day usually, and I have my videos done in this kind of conversational way where you'll notice that I don't have these like cuts in my video where I just try and cut to me saying the most important like points, where there's some people who do that because they feel like to do otherwise would be to waste your time, where it's like, why don't I cut out anything that feels extraneous or repetitive? That'll all get chopped out and I can just give them the bang, 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 which is fine because it's respectful of your time. But I like the way that I do things because I feel like it's more conversational. It's more like you and I are in the same room and I'm just talking endlessly at you while you go, would this guy shut up so I can have an opportunity to talk too? But either way, I feel like no matter what type of creator you are, creator burnout / anxiety can be a real thing, either from feeling like you have to constantly create and can't keep up, don't have new ideas, or that what you're going to do won't measure up to your previous stuff. And the thing is, if you only make a video, very rarely, they all have to be bangers. You have to be 100% on all the time, because if you make a video that fails, that's really, really bad for your channel stats because you don't have other videos to average it out across. Like, for example, if this video does miserably, it's not really going to impact my channel. And again, like I said, because I have patrons, channel members, I have all this support from outside of the like advertising or whatever. It gives me the freedom to create whatever I want without worrying about specific metrics. I don't have to worry that, oh my God, if I do this, I'm going to bomb my channel numbers, because I have a fantastic net of support that I've built by having a very like friend hangout style channel. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but either way, I have basically for me what's the perfect setup, but not everybody can have that kind of setup. And it's just interesting to see the different reasons that people decide to leave. The finances are a big one. Also, just the way that people are in the comments can wear very much on you. You'll see channels where people shut off the comments and things like that. I can understand why it's done. Now, I leave my comment section open because I believe that even from some of the criticism, criticism is useful. Like blatant negativity is not, right? So I like having comments because Yes, well, I'll have people who go, your face is ugly. I hate your stupid, ugly, smug face. Stop putting it in the thumbnails. And like that kind of stuff, I just wave it away. Like, okay, yeah, I'm not listening to you. That's fine. But then there'll be other people whose criticism, like some people might look at it and go, oh, they're being negative or whatever, but it's actual useful criticism. And sometimes you get the best information from the people who don't like you because they'll tell you the truth, right? They're not going to have any sort of like, I don't want to offend him because I like him and kind of consider him kind of like my friend or whatever, so I don't want to say this. You don't have to worry about any of that. But the bigger your channel gets, the more negative content you're going to like get in terms of comments and stuff. And that stuff weighs heavily. Negative comments stand out way more than positive comments. You can get one negative comment, and for some people, that will obliterate 20, 30, 100 positive comments. And when you're living that way and you're just responding to the negative stuff, it can just drive you straight out of what you're doing, where you just go, okay, look, I can't handle the negativity. I can't do this anymore. Like you see people crack from it, where they just focus on those negative people. But what they don't get, at least I don't think they get, is that a lot of the time when people are being knobs in the comment section, it's because they're miserable at that moment in life. Maybe they just didn't eat, or they just got in a fight with their woman, or whatever it is. Any sort of thing like that can just lead to their current emotional state being bad, and they leave these awful comments. But it starts to build up on people, and they just go, you know what? I'm not doing this. I don't need this. It's not worth it. So it's a combination of things like the negativity, you've got the finance issues. Those ones I think are big ones. I mean, there's going to be weird corner cases where it's like, I had a channel based on this game and they don't make this game anymore and I've got to shift what I'm doing, or no, I'm just going to give up, or there's all these different reasons. I feel like I've pretty much gone over most of what I had to say, and I don't feel like rambling on for too much longer about it. It's just, I felt like talking about something different today, and this was what was on my mind. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all this. What do you think are reasons that creators get burnt out and stop being YouTubers and just decide to retire from that lifestyle? All right, let me know. Thanks for coming by. If you made it all the way through, thanks for listening to me ramble. It's nice to have a platform where I can share my thoughts. Big shout out to all my patrons and channel members. As I mentioned in this video, that support makes a huge difference in terms of giving me the freedom to do things my way, which is the only way that I want to do them. So thank you for that. And to all of you, I say I shall see you tomorrow. But for now, I'm history, baby.